Buckle up. Mr. Jenkins strides into court with a claim that could fill a soap opera episode. He thinks he has a long-lost daughter, and he's here to prove it. As he stands before the judge, brimming with hope and a stack of emotions, he kicks off what promises to be an unforgettable court drama. You won't believe what's up next.
You reached out to the court to open a case. You believe that you have a long-lost daughter and hope to one day find her to prove you are father. So we've located the woman you believe is your daughter, and she's here in court today.
Get ready for a twist. Here comes Ms. Bond, the woman Mr. Jenkins swears is his daughter. She steps into the courtroom with a mix of confusion and skepticism, setting the stage for a showdown that could be straight out of a movie. Watch as the plot thickens when they dive into the nitty-gritty.
So Ron, can you please escort Ms. Bond into the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Stand behind the left podium.
Thank you for joining us, Ms. Bond. So, before the court contacted you.
Now, here's where it gets spicy. Ms. Bond whips out her birth certificate like a trump card, pointing out the glaring absence of Mr. Jenkins' name. Her disbelief is palpable, and she's armed with paperwork to prove her point. But stick around, because Mr. Jenkins' comeback is just around the corner.
I also like to submit this as evidence. His name isn't even on my birth.
You don't believe he's your father because you've never heard of him?
No one has ever spoken of him. I've never seen any pictures. My mother never even spoke of him. No conversations whatsoever.
So this is your birth certificate?
Yes.
Under father's legal name, nothing is recorded.
Talk about a plot twist. Mr. Jenkins pours his heart out, claiming a lifelong connection to Ms. Bond based on a whirlwind college romance with her mom. His story has all the makings of a blockbuster: romance, lost love, and a mystery child. Grab your popcorn because this emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
I've been looking for her over 24 years, Your Honor. Me and her mother was in college together. I'm telling you, she was banging. I mean, she had a nice big back porch on, and she used to wear this little black hat with X on. I mean, you know, that was like, she was like Lena Horne to me. She was fine, light brown eyes.
Hold the phone. Mr. Jenkins pulls out an ultrasound picture, claiming he was there every step of the pregnancy. This blast from the past is his proof, and he's laying it all on the line. The courtroom's reaction is priceless, so don't go anywhere. The best is yet to come.
You've saved all these years.
Over 24 years, I've been saving that picture right there.
If you guys were so close, so in love and everything, why did it take you so long to find me?
I've been doing everything I can do. Promise me.
Cue the waterworks. Ms. Bond shares her heart-wrenching story of loss and struggle, from losing her parents to fighting homelessness. Her tale could tug on the heartstrings of a stone statue. The courtroom is hanging on every word, and what happens next will tug even harder.
I lost my mother and my father, and I didn't have anybody, and I struggle, and I'm homeless, trying to get my children, and I have no one on my side, and I just feel so alone. I feel like a part of me is really missing.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 sons.
Here comes the knight in shining armor, or so he claims. Mr. Jenkins steps up, promising to be the dad Ms. Bond never had. His declaration is as dramatic as a season finale cliffhanger. But can he walk the talk? Stay tuned, because you ain't seen nothing yet.
Excuse me, Your Honor, she got me. You know, you don't have to worry about that. My job is to protect you and to love you, to show you how a man's supposed to treat you.
I missed that growing up. I didn't have a father figure to tell me, right from wrong. I made a lot of mistakes because I didn't have anyone there to guide me.
This guy's dedication could win awards. Mr. Jenkins details his epic quest to find Ms. Bond, involving social media sleuthing and more. His story is part gumshoe detective, part hopeless romantic. The next revelation is just around the bend, and it's a doozy.
I did everything I could do. I've been looking for you over 24 years. That's one of your numbers that I have. I had contacted Miss Bond before.
I've never received a call.
Was that your phone?
I've never got a text.
I've been Googling her. All these different sites. I've been doing all of this.
I don't understand. You've done all this. Still couldn't find me. I don't understand.
Fasten your seatbelts. Mr. Jenkins recounts the saga of lost connections and missed opportunities that could rival any teleseries. His tales of near misses and what ifs fill the courtroom, setting the stage for a revelation that might just break the internet, or at least the emotional barometer in the room.
So when you left your phone number, Ms. Bond's mother called you back?
Yes, she called.
Did you make contact? Did you see her again?
No, I didn't.
She would have been around 8 years old?
I talked to her on the phone, and she said, in the next week or so, I'll let you see Andrea. A week later, I called her back at that number. Bad news that she ended up in a bad car accident.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. The results are in, and the DNA doesn't lie.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jenkins, you are her father.
The courtroom buzzes with anticipation as the episode begins. 2 brothers could be the father. 2 brothers with the same name could be the biological father.
2 Two brothers could be the father. Two brothers with the same name could be the biological father. This is a lot. It really is.
When he came to me and he told me that he was my dad, I went to family members and I asked them, did you know that there was a possibility?
The audience collectively gasps as the revelations keep rolling in. Boone reveals that after being told someone might be his father, he went to family members to see if they had any idea. Turns out, even though no one was saying it outright back then, everyone believed there was a good chance it was true. Just when it seems like the pieces are coming together, another twist barrels down the track.
Michael Shockley, you still believe you Desiree's biological father. You believe that.
She's always been my little girl, so she'll never not be my little girl. But I have all girls and he's got all boys. All boys and one girl.
As the family dynamics start to unravel, story only gets more complex. Judge Lake delves into the family structure, pointing out that Mike has all girls with Desiree being the middle child. Meanwhile, Steve has mostly boys, with just one daughter who clearly holds a special place. The setup hints that something big is about to be revealed, and it's going to leave everyone stunned.
Mike, you say you have all girls. 3 girls, and Desiree's right there in the middle. Steve, you have all boys.
Yes, Your Honor.
5 boys.
And one daughter.
He's serious about that one daughter. This shows basically that I guess Mr. Shockley makes boys, not girls.
The courtroom grows tense as the next witness is called to the stand. Michael Shockley brings forward a key witness, his daughter, who steps up to the podium. The presence signals that this paternity case is about to take another dramatic turn. The anticipation is palpable as the courtroom waits to hear her perspective, knowing it could flip the entire case upside down.
Ms. Dennis, what relationship are you to the defendant? And you are here, I'm sure, because you have now learned about this entire paternity question. Have you ever had any doubt? Your whole life growing up, you knew Desiree to be your sister.
Yes.
The emotional stakes rise as Desiree discusses the strain paternity revelation has placed on her relationship with her sister. The close bond they once shared is now tested, and the emotional toll is evident. The tension builds as the family struggles to navigate this new reality, and the audience braces for the emotional impact of what's coming next.
It doesn't make sense. Why would you wait 20 years to come up and say something? Why? That hurt us more than anything. Why did you wait?
I mean, like I said a while ago, so I would have told her I could have if they hadn't kept her from me.
She was my little girl.
She's my daughter.
So Desiree, when you hear this, share the same mother and the same father.
Desiree reflects on how deeply she feels that Steve is her father, but acknowledges that ever since the revelation, her relationship with Mike has become distant. The emotional complexity of the situation is clear as they struggle with the fallout. Just when it seems like the story has reached its peak, it intensifies even further, pulling the audience deeper into the drama.
In my heart, I feel like Steve is. When he told me that, after that, we lost contact a lot.
Wait, you were a daddy's girl just because you asked a question and then he gave the answer, then you lost contact?
We never stayed in contact with each other. Like, he's been, ever since he's told me 11 years ago that you may be my daughter.
The moment everyone has been waiting for approaches as the DNA results are about to be revealed. Years of secrecy and decades of questions have led to this point, and the anticipation in the room is almost unbearable. The unsolved puzzle pieces are about to finally come together, and the weight of it all is heavy as the audience holds its breath.
He's the chief science officer at DNA Diagnostics, the laboratory which handles all of our testing. And I just want to make sure we are clear, because when we get down to I want everybody to understand why it is absolute truth.
Emotions are at an all-time high as Michael Shockley expresses his hopes, showing just how much he cares, regardless of the outcome. His wish for his daughter's happiness above all else adds a deeply touching layer to the story. What's coming next is sure to tug at the heartstrings, and the audience might need to have a tissue ready.
Even if it does show it, I know what step I have to take next. I mean, and I'm gonna be the best uncle she's ever had.
Yes, Your Honor. I hope she's my daughter, but she'll be my little girl always. You know, that we'll always have that. I just hope whatever the decision is makes her happy.
The courtroom falls into a hush as the final results are about to be disclosed. The judge receives the envelope, and the atmosphere is thick with suspense.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Steve Shockley.
Yes!
Baby.
Here's where it gets spicy. Ms. Johnson lays out her case, adamant that the defendant's late brother is the father of her son, driving home her years of emotional turmoil and quest for clarity. Strap in, because the emotional roller coaster is just getting started.
And after years of pain and suffering, you've petitioned the court DNA test to answer the question your son Damien has had all his life. Who is my father? You believe the defendant's deceased brother, Mr. Damien Ellerson, is the answer, and the DNA results prove that today.
Yes, Your Honor.
You won't believe the curveball here. Ms. Fortune voices her skepticism, pointing to Ms. Johnson's colorful romantic history, yet acknowledges the game-changing potential of today's DNA test results. Keep your eyes peeled, the next twist is a doozy.
Ms. Fortuné, you claim your brother cannot bother because Ms. Johnson has admitted to sleeping with other men. If today's results prove he is the dad, he would be his only biological child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Grab your tissues. Ms. Johnson starts her heartfelt testimony, detailing her deep emotional ties to the alleged father and how his absence has cast a long shadow over her and her son's life. The plot thickens in just a moment, and it's a page turn.
Damien, he was my first love. I would do anything for him. We were all the time, and I know in my heart he is his father.
And you said it was your first love.
Just his energy and his smile, like he didn't have a care in the world.
Tears alert in the courtroom. Ms. Johnson gets choked up reminiscing about the alleged father, making everyone reach for the tissue as she details their past filled with love and loss. But hang tight, because the next revelation is even more startling.
It makes you emotional to see, sister?
It does, because I'd give anything to have him. I miss him all the time.
I'll go to you, Fortunate.
Here's where the plot twists. Ms. Fortune sheds light on how her family first suspected her brother might be entangled in this paternity puzzle, peeling back layers of family drama and secrets. Fasten your seatbelts. We're heading into more turbulent revelations.
I found that out through my mother. She says possibility that Damon have a child, and so they were supposed to get the DNA. It was like my mom wanted to know, and then my mom didn't want to know. She never came and told us. He was already old enough.
You won't see this coming. A clandestine DNA test throws everyone for a loop, misidentifying another potential father when Damien was 13, thanks to a no-show in court. And guess what? It's about to get even wilder from here.
He waited until a week before his 13th birthday, a DNA test done at home. My son comes home, Mom, my dad stuck a Q-tip in my mouth and said he was checking to see if I had any diseases. And I said, no, son, a DNA test is what he did.
Just when you thought it was already complex, Ms. Johnson admits to multiple potential fathers over the years, illustrating her desperate search for a stable father figure for her son. The drama isn't slowing down. Next up is even more jaw-dropping.
And so, Ms. Johnson, you remember that day, and at some point, did you get the result?
Yes, and it came back that he wasn't his.
And then he just stopped talking to me. He just, left me,
Ellerson is Damien's biological father.
Yes.
Because the other two gentlemen are not possibilities.
Right.
This encounter is a real eyebrow raiser. Damien talks about his minimal and unsatisfying interaction with the defendant's family, which did little to solve the mystery of his paternity. Brace yourself. The emotional stakes are about to get higher.
I met him once when I was 12 or 13. I think. Took me to the park.
You're right. I forgot all about that, yes.
This testimony is a game changer. A statement from Ms. Fortune's mother contradicts earlier claims about the family's awareness of the paternity issue, adding a layer of doubt and confusion. Don't go anywhere. The next part adds even more spice to the story.
Ms. Johnson, gave her pictures and stuff. My brother's son. My mom believed it, kinda. It was just too emotional.
Your mother was unable to be here today. Did send a statement to the court.
You'll need to sit down for this one. Suddenly, there's another man on the radar who might be Damien's father, stirring up the courtroom with fresh drama and possibilities. The revelations keep piling up, so stay tuned for another twist.
Oh, so are you testifying that you believe your cousin, not brother, be Damien's biological father? You did sleep with Mr. Ellerson's cousin?
Yes, I did.
Well, that cousin is here, and I think we need to hear.
This revelation will knock your socks off.
I believe in this court record, you then told your son there was another possible father.
Yes.
Mr. Slaughter.
Yes.
Buckle up, folks. We're diving right into the deep end. Miss Kelly explains her reason for being in court: to determine the paternity of her biological father in hopes that he can walk her down the aisle. She's hoping for a fairy tale ending, mixed with a healthy dose of courtroom drama. You'll want to keep your eyes peeled for what's next.
Miss Kelly, you are here to determine one of two men we tested for paternity is your biological father. You hope to leave this courtroom today knowing father's identity so he can walk you down the aisle at your wedding.
Yes, Your Honor.
You won't believe this twist. A second potential father, Mr. Anthony, pops into the scene, utterly shocked to be considered as a father after Miss Kelly's surprise visit. The plot thickens with every revelation, stirring up a storm of emotions and suspense. Stick around, the curveballs are just getting started.
Mr. Anthony, he claims he was shot just a few months ago, put up at his doorstep and broke the news to him that he could also be. Talk to us about the journey you've been on trying to find out who your biological father is.
Here's a story you've got to hear. Miss Kelly shares her poignant background, painting a vivid picture of being raised by her grandparents and grappling with identity issues due to her mixed heritage. This backstory sets the stage for her quest for truth, making every moment count. The roller coaster of revelations is far from over, folks.
My grandparents started raising me. I noticed that I was different because they're white and I was brown. Grandmother used to get awkward looks. My grandfather, he got killed when I was 10. So not having that male influence in my life, I started to act out, get in trouble at school. That's when Lariat thought it would be a good idea.
Grab some popcorn. Mr. Duncan's taking the floor. Mr. Duncan reflects on his joy and the spectacle speck of doubt Miss Kelly reached out to. His narrative adds layers of complexity and hope to the unfolding drama. The stakes are high, and the next reveal is a doozy.
Oh, I was happy. I was proud, to have a look, to have a child. I might have had a little doubt because at that she was living with a guy. She was a nice-looking girl, and I was a little bit older, and maybe it might have been wrong, but she was real pretty. I'm trying to bring over to my side, but she's living with another guy.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Mr. Duncan lays his heart on the line, hoping beyond hope that Miss Kelly is his daughter. His declaration is charged with emotion and long-held dreams. As the tension builds, get ready for an emotional whirlwind just around the corner.
So when you got the call, you said to yourself, I remember who this is, of course, and you would be happy if this young woman is my daughter.
Right now a day, and I've been hoping 24 years. Same thing, and I've been one mustard seed about this little girl right here. But I tell you this right now, I hope to God this is, I do.
This next part is a real kicker. Miss Kelly's mother recounts the nerve-wracking introductions of her daughter to the potential dads, setting off a chain reaction of personal disclosures and emotional reckonings. The saga deepens, and what comes next will tug at your heartstrings.
Because like I said, I was young when I had her, and I made some mistakes, and my mom wound up wanting to step to the plate and raise her. She's seen everything happen, so she started being rebellious towards my mom, and everything showed out in school and all. And I knew it was time. My mom never wanted her to know who her father was, and I knew I had to. She's mine, and I went to her house one day and I took and picked her up.
Tissue alert. Mr. Duncan shares the harsh whispers and doubts cast by neighbors, underscoring the personal toll of paternity uncertainty. This segment is a tearjerker, filled with raw emotion and societal pressures. Keep watching. The drama intensifies from here.
Me and Miss Kelly had spent some time together, and I took her, and that's her father come out, and I ain't gonna say what the words was, but they wasn't no good words. So I told him, I said, well, they can come stay with me. I had my own house, I had my own land, I had a good job, I had a good car, and I wasn't that bad looking.
Moment of truth incoming. The court unveils that.
In the case of Kelly, Duncan, Anthony, when it comes to Destiny Kelly, Mr. Duncan, you are not her father. I'm sorry to you both. I know how much you wanted it.
Here's a jaw-dropper to kick things off. The case blasts off with the plaintiff, Mr. Wiseman, lighting into his old buddy and now roommate, Mr. New, accusing him of the ultimate bro-code betrayal, sneaking around with his girlfriend. This isn't just soap opera stuff. It's led to a full-blown paternity circus over his toddler son, Brett. The judge dives into the muck, prodding Mr. Wiseman to spill the tea on how this messy situation unfolded, with Mr. Wiseman laying out the saga. It's more twisted than a pretzel. Buckle up, because the ride gets even wilder from here.
Say the defendant was a good friend of yours and you let him move into your home. You claim he repaid your generosity by sleeping with your girlfriend. Now you're both here locked in a paternity dispute over which of you fathered 2-year-old Brett Wiseman. Mr. New, you claim when you first moved in, your relationship with Mr. Wiseman's girlfriend was strictly a friendship.
Yes.
Can you believe he dropped that bombshell? Mr. Wiseman unwraps the sordid details of how he stumbled upon the scandalous affair between Mr. New and his girlfriend. Family whispers and eyebrow-raising closeness confirmed his worst fears. The sly Mr. New slid into more than just the friend zone after hearing tales of Mr. Wiseman's supposed neglect. Strap in, because what comes next will flip the script.
Somebody in her family came and told me. Pretty much told me, like, if you can't see it, because, I mean, it was just too close of becoming too close of friends. Finally told me, like, look, we know for a fact that they've been doing stuff together. So that's how I found out.
And you had no idea?
No.
Things are heating up now, aren't they? As the courtroom's temperature rises, Mr. New takes a swing at defending his actions, claiming he was rescuing the damsel from Mr. Wiseman's less than chivalrous ways. The squabble escalates until the judge steps in, laying down the law and warning Mr. New to keep his cool or hit the road. Get ready.
I had suspicions because, like, there'd be certain times, like, they wouldn't know I was coming over, the water hose all sitting there getting each other wet, all hugged up, and then when I would walk.
That was when me and her was already together.
No.
And she was at her grandma's house. Lie again. Because he cheated on her so many times and she was letting it go.
She's
Knew
the
about
cheater,
it and
just
all
like
that.
that's why he's so protected, because you have to be with her. Because if you ain't stuck up her butt 24/7, she gonna go to the next man.
Let her.
Wait till you hear this whopper of a confession. Amidst the courtroom's growing tension, Mr. New tries to plead his case but keeps tripping over his words. Enter Miss Duncan via video link, dropping a bomb that she's pregnant again, and guess what? Baby daddy drama just doubled because she was playing musical chairs with both men when Brett was conceived. Hang on to your seat, because the next revelations are juicier.
What happened, Your Honor?
When you talk, say it respectfully.
I will.
Keep cursing and you'll be gone. I'm just serious.
I'm not gonna tolerate it. Tell me, how did you start a relationship? I guess, was it Mr. Wiseman's girlfriend or ex at the time?
When we first slept together, I don't know how to say it without cussing.
You're not going to believe what she admits next. Miss Duncan tries to untangle the web of her love life, confessing she juggled romances with both Mr. Wiseman and Mr. New around baby Brett's bake time. Her candid spill paints a Picasso of complicated relationship dynamics that's as confusing as a calculus exam. The pot's about to boil over. Just watch.
You're admitting that you slept with Mr. New while you were still in a relationship, albeit rocky, with Mr. Wiseman. And so once you found out you were pregnant.
I told Jeremiah, because at the time I wasn't really talking to Tyler.
So you told Mr. Wiseman first, because after you slept with Mr. New, then you weren't speaking to, because you were still with Mr. Wiseman.
The plot thickens, and boy, does it thicken. The courtroom drama deepens as Miss Duncan voices regret and confusion over her roller coaster relationships that have thrown everyone into this paternity quandary. The judge probes Mr. Wiseman on his reactions to the pregnancy bombshell, stirring doubts about his daddy status. Next up, the emotional thermostat gets cranked up even higher.
I definitely was happy, but I had doubts, you know what I mean? I mean, our relationship.
Had you found out about Mr. New before you found out Miss Duncan was pregnant, or after?
Kind of before. I mean, I was being told by her family that they was sleeping together.
So you heard the rumors?
Yeah.
She told you she was pregnant. Did you say, I'm the father? Did she say, and you're the father?
The twists just don't stop coming. As they hash out who did what and when, Mr. New drops a newsflash. He's not just playing house. He's engaged to Miss Duncan, and there's another bun in the oven. The layers of this lasagna just keep stacked. Peek through your fingers if you must, because the next scene is a real cliffhanger.
Brett's old enough, I bet he does, because I'm the only one does anything for him.
But if it comes that he's mine, you ain't even gonna see him.
I support your kids.
He's not
I'll buy
gonna
your
not
kids
see
school
him.
clothes, bruh.
I said you're not gonna be able to stop Tyler if he comes back yours. I'm pregnant and we're engaged to be married.
This next reveal is a game changer. The judge tries to navigate the murky waters of this family fiasco, especially now that Mr. Wiseman is doubting his paternity thanks to a tangled web of whispered accusations. It's like a daytime drama with a side of suspense. Prepare yourself. The revelations just keep escalating.
It's just a possibility, you know, when you get told that there's a possibility that it ain't yours, I mean, can you do?
So you've been told that there is a possibility the child is not yours?
Yeah.
And you've been told that by Miss Duncan?
Yeah.
Grab your popcorn. Here comes more drama. Just when you think it couldn't get more theatrical, Miss Duncan's sister strides into the courtroom to testify, aiming to stitch some sense into this patchwork of paternity. The tale of who's been daddy dearest and who's been a wallet warrior paints a vivid picture of the everyday chaos in Brett's life. Don't go anywhere. This next part is a barn burner.
The who father is, because it does come back Mr. Wiseman is my nephew's father, and I think he needs to be there more financially, emotionally, and all that, because Mr. New has been there for the last year
and a
through
half.
it all.
I mean, she's the one now telling me they were sleeping together.
Watch as the sparks really start to fly. The barbs fly faster as Mr. Wiseman and Mr. New exchange accusations and denials, almost drowning out the real issue, little Brett's future. The judge wrestles the conversation back to the matter at hand, trying to anchor this ship amidst the stormy seas of personal attacks. The fuse is lit, and the next explosion is just moments away.
So often, I can't have them. Is she
we
gonna let me
bring them whenever he wants. I bought the car and put the gas in just to bring them, bruh. And you ask for rides away from them. Get out of here, bruh. Yes. Bro. Say I'm lying. We just
You're
said
lying, because I just recently, my car recently broke
Your car,
down.
you ain't got no car.
Okay.
Your dad was letting you use a car, bruh. You ain't got no job, no money.
You don't got, what are you doing?
I'm supporting your kids.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats now. The atmosphere is electric as the judge prepares to unveil the DNA results, a moment loaded with as much potential energy as a rocket launch. Everyone's bracing, knowing these results will either cement bonds or blow them to bits. The envelope, please. And trust me, you'll want to be sitting down for this.
No, the woman has sat here and testified that she slept with both of you during the window of conception as it relates to the paternity, and any child that doesn't know for certain who their father is in a difficult position. I think it's time for the result. It has been determined that the biological father is Mr. Wiseman.
Betty don't do nothing about it.
Yeah. Can you believe the drama unfolding here? Ms. McNair is under fire by Mr. Travis's cousin, who accuses her of using slick manipulation tactics on Mr. Travis concerning the paternity of her child, Mariah. The cousin, desperate for the truth, pleads with the court to intervene because Mr. Travis, completely love-struck, signed the birth certificate without any paternity confirmation. What's up next? You won't want to miss the fallout.
Ms. Brown, you state you have begged and pleaded with your cousin to open today's case because being lied to and taken advantage of by Ms. McNair. You say he's so blinded by the love that he signed her child's birth certificate, and you don't believe he's the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your popcorn. This part's a real tearjerker. Mr. Travis pours his heart out, expressing his profound emotional bond with Mariah, describing her as his entire universe. Despite his deep affection and the pivotal role he plays in her life, doubts about his biological connection, fueled by family whispers and mismatched timeline, gnaw at him. Brace yourself. The emotional roller coaster is just getting started.
Mr. Travis, you say you love defendant's 22-month daughter, Mariah, but you now fear she may not be your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Buckle up, here she goes. Ms. McNair launches into a fervent defense against the accusations, staunchly asserting her fidelity to Mr. Travis. She claims that the disruptive cousin is trying to wreck their family. She's convinced Mr. Travis is the dad and is eager to prove it and kick the cousin to the curb. Watch as the plot thickens.
You say family has been torn apart by Mr. Travis's meddling, and you claim you are certain he fathered your daughter, and you want to prove paternity and get his cousin out of your life.
Yes, Your Honor.
You'll need to sit down for this one. Mr. Travis recalls a time back in December 2015 when he was away, and during his absence, he was hit with the bombshell news from his cousin that Ms. McNair might have been playing the field. This seed of doubt sprouts into a thorny issue about Mariah's paternity. The evidence up next is a real game changer.
I went away 2015 in December. While I was gone, I actually talked to my cousin, Tiara. Miss Anitra was pregnant.
She told you Ms. McNair had been intimate with other people, cheating,
and got pregnant.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, a video surfaces, courtesy of Mr. Travis's cousin, allegedly catching Ms. McNair in some rather questionable antics, claimed to be solid proof of her infidelity. This video cranks up the courtroom tension to new heights. The upcoming face-off absolutely must-see TV.
Tiara, where your proof at, baby?
I have with each other.
Can she show me the proof?
Your Honor, I have y'all a video of how I'm seeing her. Your Honor.
that shows how you caught her cheating.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's take a look at that.
The room's about to explode. The controversial video is played, showcasing Ms. McNair's comings and goings with various mystery drivers, which, according to Mr. Travis's cousin, points straight to cheating. Ms. McNair fiercely refutes this, claiming the footage and allegations are twisted. The next scene is a doozy.
She's getting picked up right there. Men are dropping her off and picking her up. From my window, you see getting in cars, going back up to her house, and you see the cars just coming in.
So you
can see firsthand getting in and out of.
Are you a stalker?
Your Honor. And that looked like a pretty good view.
Yes, it is a pretty good view.
Things just got spicy. In a fiery exchange, Ms. McNair tries to explain her late-night rendezvous with other men, which only throws more fuel on the fire of doubt regarding her loyalty during Mr. Travis's absence. The trust here is hanging by a thread. The revelations that follow will knock your socks off.
Lonely enough to come out the house at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
So why does it have to be with a guy? Why not the girlfriend, someone, family member? Why a guy?
I have girlfriends. It's just different guy friends.
Only thing at 1 or 2 o'clock.
Because you see what baby.
Yeah.
Record some of the
never
females
seen
that I
her.
have friends with.
And just when you think you've seen it all, Mr. Travis's cousin whips out a calendar, attempting to debunk the timeline of Mariah's conception against Mr. Travis's whereabouts. This piece of evidence suggests the math just doesn't add up, deepening the paternity mystery. Get ready, because the truth bomb that drops next is epic.
My cousin, he went away in December. We found out in February, early March. Mariah is born in October.
The time just don't add up, Your Honor.
You count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10. That'd be 11 months.
You need to mind your business, baby. You need to find you something to do and talk about besides me and my relationship.
Grab a tissue, folks. It's crunch time. The climax hits as the DNA test results are unveiled.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Travis, you are not the father.
It's our time.
Judge Lake introduces the case of Redmond Jr. versus Patterson, where Mr. Redmond is disputing the paternity of 2 teenage daughters, despite owing $10,000 in child support. He emphatically denies the children are his, questioning the long delay in resolving this issue. You're not going to want to miss what happens next. Buckle up.
This is a case of Redmond Jr. versus Patterson.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Redmond, you currently owe more than $10,000 in child support for the defendant's 2 teenage daughters, LaQuandria Redmond and Kaisha Redmond, who you say are not yours.
Brace yourselves, because this gets wild. The conflict deepens as Mr. Redmond expresses his conviction that the children aren't his, citing his multiple jail sentences due to the owed child support. He presents a document from the court showing his outstanding debt, which is examined by the court. And just when you think it can't get any more heated, it does.
Over 19 years, I've been taking care of these kids, and Your Honor, I've been going to jail, and I know for a fact that these kids aren't mine.
You know for a fact you've gone to jail?
I've gone to jail because I owe more than $10,000. This is some from the courts where I owe over $10,000 in child support payment.
Let me see that paperwork.
Here's where the plot thickens. A dramatic moment unfolds when Mr. Redmond accuses Ms. Patterson of infidelity, presenting a photo of her with another man in a compromising situation. Ms. Patterson vehemently denies the allegations, insisting it's a fabrication. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for the next twist.
I never cheated on her.
She's untrustworthy, Your Honor. I've caught her cheating on me numerous amount of times.
Step forward so I can have you explain this evidence you have in monitor.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, as you can plainly see, her and her friend was in the bathroom, and he had his pants down.
That is a lie.
To the bathroom, Your Honor, his pants was down, and he quickly tried to pull them up, and she stood up.
That is a lie.
What?
Yes, Your Honor.
Guess what's up next? Shocking, right? The tension escalates as Mr. Redmond recounts discovering another man in his apartment, further fueling his doubts about paternity. He reveals placing a tape recorder in the bedroom to catch further indiscretions, but Ms. Patterson dismisses the recorded sounds as mere background noise. The stakes are high, and there's more drama to come.
This is a picture of me coming home from work, Your Honor. This was when we was married. I rode a bicycle in the cold to go to work. It was a tall, dark-skinned man walking out of my apartment.
That is not true, Your
Ms.
Honor.
Patterson, do you know anyone that looks like that?
No, Your Honor, I really don't.
So you're saying he just constantly accuses you?
Yes, ma'am.
You'll be amazed at what happens here. Mr. Redmond describes catching Ms. Patterson in a compromising position with another man at her workplace, questioning her fidelity and the paternity of their children. Ms. Patterson defends her professionalism and denies the allegations. Stay tuned, because the courtroom is about to get even more charged.
You have one more picture. What is this?
I went to Miss Patterson's workplace, but at this point in time, at her job, find the location that they told me to go to.
Okay.
I observed Miss Patterson in the bed with another man. On top of the man.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, so this is you observing?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you confront her?
I didn't confront her, Your Honor. I was so hurt. I walked away, got in my car, and left.
Are you ready for more bombshells? Judge Lake probes deeper into the reasons behind Mr. Redmond's doubts about the paternity of his second daughter, Kayashia. The couple's strained relationship and separate living arrangements at the time of her conception are discussed. What the daughters have to say next is absolutely heart-wrenching.
So you said you had one more piece of evidence as to why you believe LaQuandria is not your daughter?
Yes, ma'am. We was in her hometown. I creeped up on her family's house. When I got there, Your Honor, I went round the back where they usually be, and I observed Miss Patterson drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, sitting on another man's lap.
You thought maybe he could be her father because she was having a relationship with him as well?
Yes, ma'am.
This next bit is truly moving. The daughters, LaQuandria and Kayashia, are brought into the courtroom. They express their feelings of neglect and absence of a relationship with Mr. Redmond, highlighting the emotional impact of the paternity dispute. Their testimony will tug at your heartstrings, and you'll want to see how their dad reacts.
We are here today discussing some paternity issues that are affecting your family. And I wanted to hear from you because the gentleman on the plaintiff's podium, Mr. Redmond, you believe he is your father, right?
Yes.
That's what you've been told.
Yes, ma'am.
Now watch as the tension reaches a new high. An emotional confrontation occurs as the daughters and Mr. Redmond exchange accusations and denials. The daughters articulate their feelings of abandonment and financial neglect, which Mr. Redmond attempts to refute, claiming a consistent presence in their lives. The courtroom is about to be shaken by the DNA results. Get ready.
I don't recollect me not being there for these kids, and I feel like they're being untruth at the moment. I've been there for those kids. I never left those kids. My father has thrown them birthday party. I have done a lot for these kids, Your Honor.
Well, do you hear them say that they don't believe you've been there for them? They don't feel your presence in their life. They don't feel your protection.
The kids were kidnapped from me. They were in my custody. She came back and stole the kids from me.
Hang on, here come the results. The climactic reveal of the DNA results confirms.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Redmond, you are the father.
You need to apologize to
He don't need him.
You're not going to believe how this starts. The case of versus Crane kicks off with Mr. Scott stepping up to clear his name, claiming his reputation has been dragged through the mud by several women, including Miss Crane, who insists he's the dad of their kids. He firmly states he's already got a mini football team of 6 kids with 3 different women, but is adamant that Miss Crane isn't going to add to his team roster with child number 7. Just wait. The courtroom drama is about to heat up.
Mr. Scott, you say you are appearing in court today. Clear your name.
Yes.
You state many women, including the defendant, have dragged your reputation through the mud, claiming you are the father of their children. You admit to having 6 kids by 3 different women,
Yes, Your Honor.
but state that the defendant is not mother number 4 with child number 7.
Here comes a curveball. Miss Crane fires back, staunchly defending her fidelity during their time together and insisting without a doubt that Jaylyn is Mr. Scott's son. She drops a bombshell, revealing she discovered Mr. Scott was still very much married during her pregnancy, while Mr. Scott flips the script, accusing her of playing the field. Buckle up, because the truth train is just leaving the station.
You say you will always face that, and that Jaylyn is definitely his son. You argue Mr. Scott is the one who cheated and claimed that during your pregnancy, you
true.
found out he was a married man.
Yes, she's been cheating the whole time.
Never. Ms. Crane, you insist that Mr. Scott has never even offered you a dime.
Never.
You're here to make a counterclaim against Mr. Scott in the amount of $1,000, the maximum allowed by this court.
Can you handle more? Watch as plot thickens with Miss Crane outing Mr. Scott for being married during their affair, a fact he clumsily tries to sidestep before admitting to a tangled web of lies and liaisons. This revelation leads to a fiery exchange about where Mr. Scott was sneaking around during Miss Crane's pregnancy, climaxing with her detective work on his phone records. And guess what? It's about to get even messier up ahead.
And you just said, Ms. Crane, that he was married.
Major negative. I've been a major negative. I've been divorced since December 9th.
I didn't know
She
about
knew I
none
had
of the
kids, though.
Enlighten-
She knew I had kids.
Enlighten me. How did you? Your Honor, I was 7 months pregnant. I didn't know where Marcel was. He used my phone one time. He deleted all his calls. So I went back on the internet, went back to the research, called all the numbers he called, and found out he was married for 9 years.
That's true. I was
Thank you.
married. That's true. I was married, but I've been divorced since December 2009.
Just when you think it can't escalate further, it does. The heat rises in the courtroom as accusations about Mr. Scott's fidelity and honesty fly like wild fireworks. Miss Crane recounts a sketchy incident where she caught Mr. Scott at his ex-wife's place, sparking a heated denial and more finger-pointing about who did what during the pregnancy. Strap in, the next part is a real doozy.
And you 7 months pregnant when this happened.
Yep.
No, that's not true at all.
And he lied about all of his kids. I didn't know he had no kids.
She lied because I got tattoos all over my body. I got all my kids' names on my
That
back.
don't mean nothing.
Everywhere.
Your Honor, I
She
didn't
knew
ask
my
him
kids'
nothing
names.
about no tattoos.
No, well, you want to talk about tattoos? What about the dude's name to your body?
What
that
about
you said
it?
it was your brother.
And?
But then come to find it's another dude that's holding the baby. I mean,
Your
come
Honor,
on.
if we were not together, we were not together at the time.
Wait a minute now, miss some info I delved
Well, I'm
into.
not on the birth certificate.
This part is juicy. As the court tries to untangle this web, Mr. Scott defends his hit-or-miss fatherhood antics by blaming Miss Crane for keeping him away from their son. Miss Crane passionately recounts the emotional roller coaster caused by the paternity doubts, which deeply affected her decisions and well-being. Don't go anywhere. Revelations are about to drop like hot potatoes.
And then while she's pregnant, she had hickeys on her neck. And
Your
I didn't
Honor.
give her them hickeys. You know what I mean? And when she was pregnant, she didn't even tell me she was pregnant. I said, well, let me take you to Kaiser Permanente Hospital. She told me to go to the Kaiser Permanente in Lancaster, and she's at the Kaiser Permanente in Palmdale. Here, all my kids.
And so you're
I have
trying to
6
take
kids.
her to medical appointment.
Yeah, she wouldn't let me take
And
her.
she telling
told me
you
her
she's
sister
at one branch, you at the other branch.
She said, oh, my sister dropped me. She told me and said like, well, yeah, whoop-de-whoop dropped me off. That's what she said.
Brace yourself for the grand finale. As the session winds down, Judge Lake dives into the emotional and financial turmoil churned up by Miss Crane, underscoring the pressing need for clarity and responsibility in this convoluted paternity mess. The suspense builds to a fever pitch as they edge closer to unveiling the DNA results. Trust me, you'll want to see how this turns out.
As you were saying to him, like father, or he's not the father, and then you go to his family, you
The
know,
only doubt
he's
he
not
should
the
ever have
father.
is when I found out he said some stuff, so I was like, you know what, Jaylyn's not yours, so I don't need my life.
Nah, you don't need to say
And
that.
that's because I was emotional. Of course, I'm gonna say what I have to say.
So you're admitting that out of hurt when you found that
Yeah.
out, you're not the father of the baby anyway, and I don't need you in my life.
If she knew this was my baby, she's 100% sure. Then how come you didn't put my name on the birth
Honor,
certificate?
why
How he
would
doesn't
I
have
put
my
his name
last
on the birth
name?
certificate?
Why
He's
he
been
don't have
married
my
for
last
9
name?
years.
And now, the moment of truth. Get ready for a wild reveal. The court reaches its boiling point as the DNA results are finally disclosed.
When it comes to 3-year-old Jaylyn Crane, Mr. Scott, you are the father. Told you!
Right out of the gate, we've got a curveball. Wesley, a child with severe autism, is introduced, living primarily under the care of his loving grandmother, while knowing very little about his parents. The paternity test results expected today could significantly reshape his future. Stay tuned as the drama ramps up.
This is Wesley. He suffers from a severe case of autism. He's being raised by his grandmother and barely knows his mother and his father. The results of today's paternity test will help determine the course of his future.
Here comes a plot twist. Mr. Marsh, officially listed as Wesley's father on the birth certificate, drops a bombshell by claiming that the real father is actually the neighbor of Wesley's mother. Both potential dads have been tested, so buckle up as we're about to dive into the DNA drama.
You are listed on Wesley's birth certificate as his dad, but you claim his biological father is actually his mother's neighbor. Now, you both have been tested and we'll hear the results shortly. Now, Mrs. Maldonado, you are Wesley's grandmother and legal guardian.
Yes, Your Honor.
Things get a tad complicated here. Mr. Marsh lays out the tough restrictions on his visitation, confined to chilly outdoor meetings that have slashed his father-son time. His financial support comes through child support payments, though he's racked up quite the debt. The emotional thermometer is about to burst. Don't go anywhere.
I can come and see my son whenever I want to, and yet I have to see him outside. I'm not allowed inside the house, so I don't see a reason to put a one-year-old child outside in the cold just for me to be able to see him or for me to be able to help out. I pay my child support. I pay $269 money in my arrearments. I'm $13,000 in debt because of it, but I still, whenever I have a job, I pay the state for child support.
You won't believe this twist. During a heartfelt recount, Mr. Marsh explains his decision to cease outdoor visits with Wesley, prioritizing his son's comfort over a forced relationship. The grandmother contests his story, highlighting a long-standing communication breakdown. The plot thickens just around the corner.
When you went by and saw him when he was 1 year old, you said this wasn't right for him to have to come outside for you to see it. So you made the decision that I'm just going to leave this alone. I'm going to pay my child support, but I'm going to keep my distance, and when he's 18, he can find me.
I didn't see a point of every time I went to go see my son to be threatened to be put in the ER if I walked the threshold of the door.
That is
now,
incorrect.
Ms. Maldonado, is he being threatened when he comes to try to see?
No, he is not.
And now for another reveal. Mrs. Maldonado, amidst the ongoing courtroom battle, admits her uncertainty about Wesley's paternity despite Mr. Marsh's name on the birth certificate. She's holding her breath for clarity, and you should too, because the next testimony is a game changer.
You believe he is in fact Wesley's father?
That's what I have, Your Honor, because his name is on my grandson's birth certificate. I did not give birth to him. I can only go by what's on.
All right, so on the paperwork, he is listed as a father. In your mind, the way you operate, he's the father. So did you ever try to meet somewhere?
We did at a restaurant in town, and he did not show up.
As the stakes heighten, doubts swirl around Wesley's paternity. Mr. Marsh voices his suspicions about their familial resemblance, or the lack thereof, citing the mother's side's history of deception. Fasten your seatbelts. We're speeding towards an eye-opening witness statement.
He just does not look like me. All white. There's no any other kind of descent in my family. Jolene's half Puerto Rican. Jeremy's father is full-blood Puerto Rican. So, I mean, there is Hispanic descent in the family.
So when his mother was pregnant, were you ever told it could be anyone else?
I had Jeremy who cracked jokes about, oh, you might want to get a paternity test. Big joke around that Jolene cheated.
The tension escalates with Mr. Neely's explosive testimony. He backs up the family's doubts about Wesley's paternity, painting a not-so-pretty picture of his sister's honesty. As the family secrets spill, the courtroom braces for the next big revelation. Get ready for more jaw-dropping moments.
Do you believe that Mr. Marsh is Wesley's father?
Honestly, I do not believe he is.
Why is that?
Because my sister has had multiple friends, boyfriends. There you go.
Okay.
So
that your sister was with multiple men, probably during the time Wesley was conceived.
yes, and I forewarned Eddie that if you do not know it's yours, do not sign the paperwork.
Grab your popcorn. Here's the backstory. After her daughter mysteriously disappeared postpartum, Mrs. Maldonado stepped up as Wesley's primary caregiver. Her struggle underscores the family's chaotic dynamics and sets the stage for more upheaval. Watch out! The emotional roller coaster is about to hit a steep drop.
At that point, in April of 2008, signed a power of attorney that we took and went and had taken care of so that I had legal custody of Wes to take care of. Now, I did get a hold of my daughter before we came here, and she did give me a video state that she wanted you to hear.
Hi, I'm Jolene, Wes's mother. Edward Marsh is his father. He has been denying my son. Last time he saw him was the fall of 2008.
Finally, the moment of truth arrives with a startling revelation.
And whether Mr. Marsh or Wesley's mother's neighbor is his father, Mr. Marsh, you are his father.
Does that mean I get my rights to him?
Brace yourself for a wild start. Mr. Derensburg kicks off the hearing with a bombshell, claiming he's not the father of Ms. Wilson's 22-year-old son, Damone. He's determined to prove his case, hoping to erase his name from the child support bills and claw back over $20,000. The courtroom's buzzing, and you won't believe what's coming next.
Are seeking the results of a paternity test prove that you are not father of Ms. Wilson's 22-year-old son, Damone, who you say the defendant once told you was another man's child. You will return to court to sue Ms. Wilson $20,000 for unwarranted child support payment.
Things are heating up quickly. Ms. Wilson fires back, painting Mr. Derensburg as a master of deception, juggling relationships with multiple women while being both engaged and married. She insists he's the father of her son, challenging his narrative of innocence. Hold tight, because the details about their past interactions are just around the corner.
That Mr. Derensburg is a womanizing, lying, cheating, poor excuse for a man.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim that during your relationship he was married and engaged, I don't know how you do that, to other women.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can't make this stuff up. The discussion unveils a tangled web of relationships where Mr. Derensburg was not only married, but also separated and planning another wedding, all while dating Ms. Wilson's friend. This adds a spicy layer of drama to his claims. The next twist in their tale will have your jaw dropping.
You said you were married but separated and dating her friend.
I
Where'd
was
fiancé
separated,
come from?
but not divorced yet, and I was planning to marry the young lady that Ms. Wilson was friends with. My fiance, we had an argument, and I went out and I saw Ms. Wilson. Had a conversation, a brief conversation. We were in a hotel room.
Did that really just happen? Ms. Wilson recalls the night that might have changed her life forever, including a fleeting encounter with Mr. Derensburg that led to her pregnancy. She admits to also being involved with another man at the time, which fuels Mr. Derensburg's doubts about his paternity. Stay tuned, because Mr. Derensburg's reaction is priceless.
So obviously, since Mr. Derensburg is here today, he doesn't necessarily believe that he is the father of your son. Were you also intimate with anyone else during that time period?
Yes, I had a boyfriend at the time who was...
The plot thickens. Mr. Derensburg voices his doubts about fathering Damone, citing their brief encounter and Ms. Wilson's other romantic escapades. He only learned about the child years after the fact, which only adds layers to the mystery. Up next, hear directly from Damone. It's a tearjerker and a half.
Well, first of all, we only had sex one time. She was promiscuous, didn't find out 2.5 years after she had the kid.
Never heard from her anymore after this?
I saw Ms. Wilson at my girlfriend's New Year's Eve party.
Oh, because you went on back to your girlfriend after that.
Of course, I was with my girlfriend the entire time.
Grab your tissues. Damone shares his poignant and limited interactions with Mr. Derensburg, filled with broken promises and deep-seated feelings of abandonment. His story highlights the emotional toll of Mr. Derensburg's inconsistent presence and outright denial of paternity. But the emotional roller coaster doesn't stop here. Next up, we dive into the wallet wars over child support.
She didn't tell me anything,
so you did
so it was fine.
You did a hear no evil. You
see
just
no
blocked
evil.
it out.
2.5 years went, Danita had the child. One of my fraternity brothers come up to me and asked me, hey man, did you see your kid? I said, kid? Oh man, no. So my grandfather and I, we drove down to Danita's
to see about it.
Right, because, I mean, hell, kid.
Now we're talking money. Dive into the financial fray as the court examines the child support conflict. Mr. Derensburg challenges the deductions from his paycheck, claiming a case of mistaken paternity led to undue financial strain. But wait, there's more drama ahead as the confrontation heats up.
Because of that, they're taking money from me to repay back the state in which we live.
But
so
you were
I'm paying
identified
back.
during that time as the father.
Apparently so. I went to Georgia, I left.
Fasten your seatbelts. A recent fiery exchange between Damone and Mr. Derensburg brings old grievances back to the surface. Damone lays out his continued disappointment over Mr. Derensburg's failure to acknowledge or take responsibility. The revelation of the paternity test results up next will turn everything on its head.
When I first saw him, I was happy to see him. So I walked up to the color show him, you know, I'm a grown man now.
So you were still coming up to speak to him?
Yeah, I'm like, what's up, man, what's up? Who is you?
You said, who are you?
I didn't know the kid.
Yeah.
I did not know.
You didn't recognize.
I did not recognize this kid.
The moment we've all been waiting for, as the paternity test results are unveiled.
Mr. Derensburg, you are his father.
Can you handle this? Ms. Moore declares she's been on a lifelong quest to discover who her dad is, which sounds like a plot twist in a soap opera, but is actually her real life. She's full of hope today, desperate for some answers. Brace yourself, the plot thickens.
Ms. Moore, you claim that you've lived your entire life asking the question, who is my dad?
Yes, she is.
You say that during your childhood, your mother, Ms. Nelson, told you she had no idea. After years of heartache, you've located one potential father whom you've asked to be tested by the court today.
Cue the dramatic music. Ms. Nelson confesses they've hit the bottom of the barrel. This guy is literally their last shot at finding the paternal mystery man. The stakes? Sky high. Hang in there. What comes next is a real jaw-dropper.
Now, according to your statement, those men proved not to be your daughter's father, and therefore, Mr. Wright, the man waiting outside the courtroom today, is your last hope.
But that's not right, because I have told her that was the last-ditch effort, because I have told her that I had 3 tested and we had a swab test done. And Greg Wright last-ditch effort. I was saving her because I did not want her.
So it's hope, but it is the last effort.
That's the last one. That's the last one that I have.
Things are heating up. Ms. Moore and Ms. Nelson dive into a fiery debate, flinging accusations and past conversations like a food fight. It's messy and charged with years of unsaid words. Grab some popcorn. Next scene is even more loaded.
I gave you the name of the 18, 19 years old. I gave. No, you did not. I have. You only gave me Gregory. No, that was the last one that I gave. No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
I just want to make sure we understand everyone's position. I will take testimony and try to understand both of your positions. Now, Mr. Williams, you're here for moral support for Ms. Nelson.
Yes, ma'am.
Grab your tissues. Ms. Moore spills the beans about her topsy-turvy childhood, bouncing from home to home, which honestly sounds like a terrible road trip. Her tale is a tough one, filled with longing for a dad who was just a question mark in her life. Up next, the emotional stakes get even higher.
It was told to you by your mother that she just had no idea who your father was.
Oh, Your Honor, during my childhood growing up, it was rough. You know, we've never had a stable place. I had changed schools like 5 to 6 different times. I couldn't have friends because I would have to take my mom's responsibility, raise the kid.
No, that's not right.
Yes, that is right. Who took him on walks?
Who the one that wanted to take him on?
No,
and I only asked you out of kindness.
No.
Seriously, get ready to feel. Ms. Moore talks about playing mom while still a kid herself, handling responsibilities that would make most adults whimper. It's a lot, and it made her childhood a marathon of maturity. What's coming up might just make you reach for more tissues.
Without a father.
I grew up not knowing I vaguely at 8 years old knew my mom. Just vaguely. Yes, it was been hard. I learned to deal with it.
So you're acknowledging that it was difficult for you not having your father, so you can understand how your daughter would feel.
She came to me at 9 or 10. That she came to me, it was too young because I was.
No, I wasn't too young, because if I was too young, my dad was.
You come to me to ask me that because.
Check out the audience getting all teary-eyed and clapping like they're at a concert. They're totally on Team Moore as she lays out her heart-wrenching story to the court. But wait, there's more drama ahead that'll keep you glued to your seat.
We're here in paternity court today because she wants to know.
Oh, well, she doesn't need to tell me that. From her, if I knew from a shadow of a doubt that that's the father, I would have told him. I would.
So why was you afraid that I was going to get hurt?
Well, what if he wasn't the father? He's not giving you because he's not giving you the money.
So, Ms. Moore,
someone needs to help to support me because I don't have the.
I do have the. No. Yes, you do.
Here comes a pivotal scene. Ms. Moore and Mr. Wright have a face-to-face, might be your daughter, might not be your daughter showdown. It's tense and awkward, kind of like a first date but with DNA tests. What happens next is too good to miss.
Thank you for joining us. You may be seated. We've been talking to Ms. Moore, who's your potential daughter. She told us about how she found you. Do you believe there's a good possibility that Ms. Moore could be your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, folks, this is the moment of truth. Drum roll, please. Well, no, let's not be cliche. Let's just say everyone's on the edge of their seats as the judge delivers the DNA verdict.
In the case of Moore versus Nelson Wright, Ms. Moore, Mr. Wright is not your biological father.
As the court settles, Miss Gibson steps up with a story that sounds straight out of a dramatic novel. Miss Gibson opens the case by revealing the tragic death of her brother and the uncertainty surrounding the paternity of 3 children from 3 different women. She explains the emotional turmoil and the need to uncover the truth about her brother's legacy, her voice filled with a mix of hope and sorrow. Her aunt, Miss Kurda, is right beside her, supporting and emphasizing the family's strong desire to embrace these children if they indeed share their blood. Just wait until you hear what the mothers have to say next. It's quite the roller coaster.
You have petitioned the court for the results of paternity tests for 3 children. You say he was murdered and left behind many unanswered questions, including 3 women who all claim he fathered their children. Those women are here today waiting outside of the court. They say, for the sake of their children, they need answers. Your aunt, Ms. Kearse, is also here to honor your brother and support you discover the truth.
Now, the plot thickens as 3 mothers step into the spotlight, each with a story that could rival daytime soap operas. The introduction of the 3 mothers, Patricia Robbs, Levon Webb, and Micheline Rose, each claiming that Miss Gibson's brother fathered their child. They share their individual stories with the court, detailing the complexities of their relationships and the wild circumstances under which each child was conceived. And just when you think you've got it figured out, the next twist in their tales ramps up the drama.
Please state your name and tell the court why you're here.
My name is Patricia Robbs. I'm here on behalf of my daughter, Brianna.
I'm Levon Webb. I'm here on behalf of my daughter, Deasia Webb.
My name is Micheline Rose, and I'm here on behalf of my daughter, Zalayla.
Because you believe GQ was the father, I'd like to speak to you one at a time.
I met GQ about 6 years ago on the train. It was good. We stayed in a rooming house together.
Just when you think it can't get any more tangled, Miss Webb throws in a curveball. Miss Webb recounts her personal connection with the deceased, detailing their relationship and the entangled family dynamics involving other potential fathers, illustrating the tangled web of relationships and doubts surrounding the paternity of her child. Buckle up, because Miss Rose is about to add even more spice to this already sizzling story.
Explain to the court the circumstances surrounding your child.
When GQ passed away, I was his companion. We was together when he passed away.
So you were dating him when he passed away?
Yes. Me and GQ met. We was neighbors when we met. Come over my house. He'll spend the night, play with my kid. One day, my ex came over. That was my child's father.
Hold on to your seats, folks, because Miss Rose's testimony is nothing short of a daytime Emmy performance. Miss Rose discusses the recent discovery of her daughter and the complicated circumstances of her conception, involving multiple potential fathers and unclear affiliations, adding layers of doubt and the need for clarity through DNA testing. As the anticipation builds, the moment of truth with the DNA results is just around the corner, and it promises to be a game changer.
I just found out about her. But he's been dead for
what happened,
not 1,
Ms.
but 2
Gibson?
to 3 years.
GQ never told us anything about her.
Nothing. Ms. Gibson, explain to me. What's the story?
Well,
so you get a...
She contacted my cousin on Facebook and wanted to reach out. I was done. I already feel like that my life is a circus. I'm done. I don't want to meet any more alleged children. I don't want to meet any more alleged baby mamas. Show me proof. And then we can go from there.
The court is on the edge of its seats as Jerome hands over the much-anticipated DNA results.
When it comes to 1-year-old Zalayla, it has been determined that Mr. Gibson is her father.
I gotta go get her. I gotta get you too. I got you too, baby.
The revealing of DNA test results. Right off the bat, the air crackles with tension. Ms. Hall, clearly upset, accuses Mr. Richards of denying and failing to support their 1-month-old son, Deanie. She and her mother are seething because Mr. Richards hasn't lifted a finger to help, asserting that he provides no support and denies paternity. Mr. Richards fires back, claiming Ms. Hall is only pinning the father label on him because she harbors romantic feelings for him, accusing her of being thirsty for love. As the accusations fly, buckle up for the judge's intervention.
You and your mother are furious with the defendant because he denies your 1-month-old son, Damani, and does nothing to support. Mr. Richards, you believe that Ms. Hall is claiming you are the father because she wants to be with you. You say Ms. Hall thirsty for love and she needs to go find her child's real dad.
Digging into the past stirs up some drama. The judge dives into Mr. Richards' history with Ms. Hall, revealing that they dated years ago before reigniting their old flame. Mr. Richards confesses he reached out to Ms. Hall via Instagram, admitting his role in rekindling their romance. Their conversation uncovers that Mr. Richards' intentions weren't entirely pure, as he was somewhat manipulative, doling out affection he didn't truly feel. Keep your eyes peeled, the courtroom is about to turn up the heat.
It wasn't just like I broke her heart in 2013. We had an issue. It broke both of our heart, I guess you could say that. This time, felt like maybe I was wrong for the way I ended, so I gave her another chance.
So how did you reach out to her?
Instagram, DM, told her hey, and it went from there.
So how is she thirsty if he hit her up?
The thirst is going both ways, ma'am.
But he called her thirsty, though.
I would admit I was being thirsty also.
Things get even spicier as secrets start to spill. Ms. Hall talks about their brief romantic reprise, which lasted only a week, during which they had unprotected sex. After they split, Mr. Richards became suspicious when when he discovered another man texting Ms. Hall. This led him to abruptly end their relationship upon finding texts from another man on Ms. Hall's phone, casting doubt on the paternity of the child. Hang tight, because the judge is about to dig even deeper.
So you all start obviously having sex again.
Yeah.
Using protection all the time or not?
No, not at all.
How long did this relationship go on?
Basically a week.
A week?
It was like a fling. They stopped talking and then he came to spend time with her for her birthday and stayed a week.
So you went to stay with her for a week, Mr. Richards, and then after that you basically broke up with her again?
No, Your Honor, I think I was there for no longer than 4 days.
Here's where the plot thickens. Confusion swirls around the identity of the man Ms. Hall was texting. The judge delves into the details, revealing that Mr. Richards saw texts from another man on Ms. Hall's phone, which made him think she might be seeing someone else. Ms. Hall sets the record straight, explaining that the texts were from a man who was merely a friend, not a lover. As the layers of this mystery unfold, prepare for more twists and turns.
Her mom pulled up to drop off some water or some soda or something. When she went out there, I grabbed her phone and went through her phone. The text message is from someone saying that I'm outside. So when I go outside to get the water, I look across the street. It's the same dude I seen coming out the gate. So I'm like, whoa. Officially on the bus, I sent the message. Like, I seen the messages in your phone, but I seen the guy across the street, and that's where it ended. I told her to block my number.
As the stakes rise, every detail matters. The debate over paternity intensifies as Mr. Richards and Ms. Hall hash out the nuances of their fleeting liaison and the possible involvement of other men. The judge strives to clarify the timeline of their interactions and the conception date, noting that Mr. Richards' visit coincides with the potential conception window, which could make him the father. Don't move a muscle. A bombshell revelation is just around the corner.
Well, you found out you were pregnant. Did you immediately think it was Mr. Richards' child?
I knew, but I didn't want to tell him because how we broke up and how disrespectful he asked me because the conception date.
When she told me her due date, even if it's gonna be a problem, tell him so he can't never say that he didn't know.
And so did you do that? Did you follow your mom's advice?
Yeah, I told him, and the result.
You reached out to him?
Yeah.
Just when you think it can't get any more dramatic, the discussion escalates over the text messages and a mysterious man seen leaving Ms. Hall's residence. Mr. Richards admits he was searching for an excuse to break up with Ms. Hall and use the text as his getaway car. This confession sheds light on his uncertainties about the relationship and the child's paternity. As the tension builds, get ready for an even more explosive confrontation.
He says he saw other people texting you in the phone. He had only been there a week. You all had just rekindled it. You admitted yourself, Ms. Hall, about him. I don't really know.
You know, I asked her, like I said, when I left that day, I told her that I seen the messages and I told her I seen the dude. He said that there was no other guy. From her own mouth, that the guy was a guy that liked her and he only brings her things. They don't do anything else.
Everything changes with the judge's next words. The DNA test results are disclosed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Richards, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you.
Strap in, folks. The case of McKeever vs. Arnold is announced. Judge Lake greets the court audience, introducing the paternity dispute between Ms. McKeever and Mr. Arnold. The roller coaster is just getting started, so stay tuned.
Ms. McKeever, you say you have no doubt Mr. Arnold is your 3-year-old son Ken's biological father. You've requested a paternity test and are suing Mr. Arnold for $1,796 in child care expenses.
This part gets spicy. Mr. Arnold, supported by his aunt, Ms. Henderson, contests Ms. McKeever's accusations. They imply there could be other fathers and question Ms. McKeever's story, while Mr. Arnold expresses his doubts about being the child's father. You won't want to miss what the judge asks next.
You and your aunt, Ms. Henderson, say that Ms. McKeever admitted to sleeping with other men, but now you claim you're the one who's been put on child support for a boy who's definitely not yours.
Here's where it gets juicy. Ms. McKeever details Mr. Arnold's lack of financial support despite being on child support legally. She lists the expenses she's faced raising Kenneth, highlighting her financial burdens. The plot thickens as the evidence comes into play.
Well, actually, he has not done anything for my son. My sister has been playing a big role in my son's life, far as buying him diapers, if I need money to get my kids clothes. I never got any.
Not a dime yet?
Not a dime.
And so you're suing for child care expenses you've incurred thus far. Let me see those expenses, please. These expenses include diapers, shoes, clothes. They total $1,796.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you believe this twist? Mr. Arnold explains his failure to attend the DNA test due to not having a ride, which led to a default paternity declaration against him. Judge Lake scolds him for letting things escalate without taking action. The courtroom drama escalates from here.
Why didn't you show up to the DNA test, young man?
Transportation to get.
But look where it ended up. This happens in this courtroom way too much. Young men in your position, you come to court and you say, it's not my child, Your Honor, not my child, Your Honor. And then when I ask, did you have an opportunity to take a DNA test? Well, I couldn't get there. I didn't have no ride. We get a ride to go everywhere else we want to go.
Didn't see that coming, did you? Ms. Cox, Ms. McKeever's sister, testifies about her financial support for Kenneth, emphasizing the family's efforts to provide amid the dispute. The audience reacts vividly to her testimony. What she reveals next will definitely raise some eyebrows.
I want to hear from your sister, ma'am. State your name, ma'am.
I'm Shakiria Cox.
Cox, thank you for joining us today. So you've been stepping the plate as it relates to Kenneth.
Yes, ma'am.
Paying for expenses.
Haircuts, shoes, clothes, milk, anything that little boy needs. If she calls me, he have it.
With the understanding that
things just got real. In a critical disclosure, Ms. McKeever talks about her relationships during the conception period, implicating another man besides Mr. Arnold. This complicates the paternity debate, especially as she admits to relationships with two men around the same time. Just wait until you hear what comes next.
Who is this young man? Do you know?
I don't know him personally.
Who is this other young man?
The other young man that I was with, he ended up going. Mr. Arnold ended up moving with me. So the whole time that he was living with me, Your Honor, you know, we were intimate a lot. Now, the other young man that I was messing with, he ended up coming back home December 26th. So me and him, we messed around on that. I ended up going to the doctor because I get my 6-month checkup.
Grab your popcorn. This is a doozy. The conversation turns to another DNA test, purportedly proving another man was not Kenneth's father. This adds layers to Mr. Arnold's paternity situation and his responsibilities. The next statements in the courtroom are going to be explosive.
He wanted a copy of the DNA test.
After 2 years, you named with the other guy?
So as my son started turning 1, his features start to come in.
That little boy don't know nothing like
other guy that I was in, he decided to get the DNA test. It's not my decision. So they contacted me and they sent me a paper in the mail. I had a DNA test done.
Talk about a plot twist. Mr. Arnold admits feeling a connection with Kenneth, suggesting a possible paternal link despite earlier denials and the complex situation. The emotional stakes are high and about to get even higher as the verdict nears.
3 now. He don't even look like me.
I don't feel like he looks like you at all.
And it's crazy, he can't even speak for himself. First of all, you are 27 years old. You are a grown man. Why every time problem or we have anything going down, you gotta run to your family members?
That's what we
Why don't you step up and be a man? Because at the end of the day, he and you are gonna be taking care of those kids, not your family, not nobody else.
Feel the room tense up? The moment to reveal the DNA test results is here.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Arnold, you are his father.